You're trying to stack the odds up for yourself. Trying to make things fall in line for yourself. But God says you got too much. Too much for what, preacher? Too much for me to get the glory. See, you've been comparing the amount to what you have against your enemy. But God says, I've been comparing what you got against my glory. And when I look at your comparison against my glory, I gotta tell you that you got too much. When I look at what I want to do in you, and I look at what you already got preserved, God says you got too much. When I look at the call that I got on your life, and I look at the issues that you're dealing with, God said too much. He said separate. Give me just a little more value. He said separate. He said separate. How do you do that? He said, first thing I'm going to do, let me ask these guys, I need 32,000. How many of you really don't want to be here? That's the first group you get rid of. The ones that really don't want to be here because they weren't going to do that in the first place. How many of you really don't want to walk this walk? And I believe that God is bringing us into a set time like Gideon. That he's asking, how many of you want to answer this call, or how many of you want to play games? Some of us, we say we've signed up for this. This is what I want to do, but our actions don't show that. But God says the first separating I want to do, I want to ask you a question. How many of you really want to do this thing? He told in Genesis, he said, my spirit will not strive with you always. And we're coming to a season now that either you want to do it, or you're going to have to get off the pot. Either you want to do it, or you're going to have to go in another direction. Because this is an isolated call. This is a set-aside call. And God's not looking for nobody that's going to do him no favors. God's looking for somebody that's going to answer the call that God has upon your life. So he says, I'm looking at the 32,000, and he said, how many of you want to go on back home? And he goes from 32,000, he drops down to 10,000. They got 135,000. He got 10,000. He looks at them. I ain't got but 10,000 left. And God said, you got too much. Y'all ain't hearing me in here. Now, I don't have but 10,000 left, but God said, you keep comparing your number against the Midianites, but I'm comparing your number against my glory. And when I looked at your number again, and I looked at my glory, I had to tell you, you got too much. Tell somebody and say, make sure you don't have too much.
The preacher saw you preacher.
He said, take them on down to the water. I said, he said, take them down to the water.
Yes, sir.
He said, this is what I want you to do. You're going to have one group that's going to be so festive. And they're going to be so interested and satisfying their flesh that they're going to dump their head right in the water. He said, everyone that dumps his head right in the water, you tell him, carry your hand on home. Y'all didn't hear me in here. Everyone that sticks his head in the water, he said, you tell him to go home. Why is that? Because that's not a watchful soldier. He said, you get those that been near the water. And when they get down low, they say, yeah, I'm concerned about my flesh, but I got to make sure ain't no Midianites coming. Yes, I want my flesh to be satisfied, but I got to make sure the enemy doesn't take me out. Yes, I do need something to drink, but I got to make sure the enemy don't wipe me out. He said, and everyone that laughs like a dog, look at somebody and say, it's the dog in me. Because when you got the dog in you, you're going to keep an eye on the enemy. You're going to make sure that the devil don't come on this side. You're going to make sure that the devil don't come on that side. Tell somebody and say, don't stick your head in the water. Tell somebody and say, the dog. It may seem, but God's going to make sure that he gets his mission accomplished in your life. And some of us are at the point that we're wrestling. We're wondering, well, is God going to allow me to do it this way? God going to allow me to do it? But some of you don't realize that God's got his hook in you. And just because you change your mind does not mean that God is has changed his mind. Just because you said, God, I'm not ready for it, does not mean that God said, I'm not ready for it. And God, you got to change your mind, but God said, I'm not changing your assignment. One of the things I want you to understand about God is that God is a stubborn God. And God's made his mind up that he's going to get out of you what he put in you. God said, I'm going to pull out of you everything that I have invested. One thing I got to tell you about God, God is just like an investment broker. When God places seed inside of you, God said, I'm going to make sure that my investment comes to pass. And sometimes we look at our life and we say, God, I want to go another way. God, I want to try something different. But I stopped by here to tell you that God said, I haven't changed my mind. And God said, before I let you go, I'll bring you back full circle. I'll bring you to the threshing floor. I'll bring you to a place where you say, God, here I am. I yield myself to you. God, I'm sorry that I wasted your time. God, I'm sorry that I've been disobedient. But I'm going to get right here and get like Samson. The Bible says that the Philistines, they plucked out Samson's eyes. They shaved Samson's head. They made a fool out of Samson. But Samson told a little boy that if you can bring me to the place in the midst of the feast and place me between two pillars, and he looked up to God and said, God, one more time. God, do it again. Let me shake myself. I know it's been a long time, but you're not through. And the Bible says that in Samson's death, he killed no Philistines, that he given his whole lifetime. I want somebody to lift your hands and say, God, one more time, one more praise, one more glory. Here I am. Somebody drop your feet and shout, yeah! Shout, yeah! Shout, yeah! You don't know what kind of yeah it was. That wasn't a yeah, because the preacher told